everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. This is Zeno Fonte, and I just wanted to make a short clip about, topic is Binance versus Coinbase, right? And I know in the thumbnail I have CZ at a halfway house, right? And I did not make that up, right? Um, you can Google it. Changpeng, he did spend time in prison, we all know, back in 2024, and he was only there for 4 months from to September 2024. I think Coinbase Brian Armstrong loved that moment to see CZ in prison. They've had a really long beef, Binance versus Coinbase, and he did spend time in a California prison and a halfway house. Right, I can imagine how his experience there. Right, I'm sure it wasn't anything like a typical convict criminal. I'm sure he had incredibly privileged circumstances. But it's just funny to me that these, very wealthy billionaires still have to commit all kinds of money laundering schemes and corruption. It was mostly, they believe it's political, but it wasn't political at all. Like the Biden administration did right in sentencing him to prison. And then obviously Trump pardoned him. And, there's many reasons why, they believe that Trump pardoned him. You can Google it. Why did Trump pardon Changpeng? And they say, well, there was a $2 billion investment by Abu Dhabi firm using a stablecoin linked to Trump associated crypto venture World Liberty Financial. Right. So $2 billion in stablecoin. It doesn't mean that he gave Trump $2 billion, but I think it was claims that there was an investment in World Liberty Financial. I think there's more to it. I believe the Chinese president had a very close relationship with CZ, and they were able to work a deal where he, they had a discussion and pretty much told him, "I want you to pardon this guy as soon as possible." So I think that has more to do with it because CZ is so important to Chinese uh, crypto interests and their crypto infrastructure. Today's been a really good day in crypto. The markets are doing fairly well. You can see some of the top performing cryptos. Sky AI, which I think was born yesterday, right? This is a crypto that's been pumping. I mean, it was launched in May 2025. It's been pumping this year. I wouldn't touch it. This is a meme coin, another Binance toy that they're playing with. Most of the volume is centered in Binance, and I wouldn't touch it with a 40-yard stick. I think there's a number of Binance, call them toys. These meme toys that Binance loves to pump and dump. They use Sky AI or Siren. Siren's another one, right? That's just if I started investing in meme coins, that's the point when I stopped investing. I just started gambling. It's like roulette table. Here I come. There's other coins doing pretty well. Zcash. I think Zcash will hit $1,000. It's currently, $545. It peaked last year at $750. One of the very attractive features of Zcash is they have a very small circulating supply, right? I think it's under 20 million. I think it's 10 million or something like that. But I think Zcash has tremendous potential, even though it's mostly rugged. Its community since 2017. I mean, it was launched at like 4,200, and then it's been a fraction ever since. This is a very similar chart to ICP. And then Concoin, which is the Telegram network, they're making a comeback. They everybody thought they were left for dead, and in 2026 when they hit like $1.20, and now they are $2.12. Filecoin, Internet Computer, they're part of the same scam family tree, and they're both doing pretty well as well. Filecoin's up 15%, Internet Computer's up 13%. So today's been kind of like a weird day, but the crypto market is doing pretty well. I mean, right, we're over $2.6 trillion now, and certain coins keep pumping. But I want to talk more about this Binance versus Coinbase beef that they've been having, and who knows? It's been almost 10 years now. And I made a video called "Raved Out a Binance Love Story Gone Wrong," mostly to discuss, this little petty thing that happened between Binance and Coinbase. And in short, like, this was Binance. This is supposed to be their pet project, and then Coinbase pretty much stole this DAO from under their feet. And then Binance has been very bitter about it, which is why they warned people that you know Coinbase intended on rugging their customers with DAO, and that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly why I predicted DAO was going to be a rug pull in past videos of mine. You can watch those videos. But Binance knew this was going to happen. They were trying to warn people, and this is part of their ongoing beef. If they can attack Coinbase in any way, and Coinbase vice versa, right? I mean, the hostility between Coinbase and Binance, the largest two exchanges, and there are, I mean, what's your definition of large right now? I mean, I think the best measure of large is not, volume or um, or even like weekly visits. I think the best measure of, what is the largest exchange is like active traders, right? And we know Binance and Coinbase pretty much lead that area. Crypto.com has 140 million um, customers, they claim, but it's just a bunch of signups, and it's a small percentage of them that actually use the platform. This is the Matt Damon and Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady was with FTX. He got rugged by them, and then he went did endorsement with crypto.com. I mean, they have all kind of weird celebrities. Reese Witherspoon, like what the hell does Reese Witherspoon know about crypto? Nothing. Okay, she doesn't know anything. And then you have Snoop Dogg, right? Which I think Snoop Dogg probably knows more about crypto than the other celebrities, just because he's known how to hustle his entire life. But even Snoop Dogg, he doesn't know anything about crypto. So they like to get a bunch of just like hogposh of weird celebrities to, diverse group of celebrities to promote their crap exchange. I'm not a fan of pretty much any of the CEX. Obviously, Binance and Coinbase are the biggest ones, but they all have their weird conflicts of interest and petty beefs. When crypto.com and Coinbase became friends, right? That was the moment when um, Coinbase announced they were going to list Chronos, right? And they listed Chronos, if you recall, back in November 2021 on Coinbase, right? And I felt like that's a horrible thing for crypto. Competition is good. You want Coinbase and Binance not liking each other. So when the two largest American exchanges, Crypto.com and Coinbase, became friends, well, in November 2021, I mean, Chronos was around like 20, 30 cents, and then you know without a doubt that they colluded this pump and dump. They pumped it to to $1, and then they brought it right back down. And they knew that was going to happen. And this is why you love competition, and why you can't have way too closeness of a relationship, because they do this to their customers, right? They literally rugged Chronos, and Chronos has been a fraction since um, that moment that it was launched on Coinbase. All right, this is why I wanted. This is like the worst thing that happened in crypto is Binance and Coinbase had really bonded and developed a very close relationship, because then they would probably just rug Binance Coin, and we know Binance Coin will never get listed on Coinbase. That's just not going to happen, right? And then Coinbase has their reasons, why they have their hostility, and Coinbase doesn't trust Binance Coin, and they commit all these crimes, blah, blah, but Coinbase commits a bunch of crimes too. Coinbase loves to virtue signal, but they're not any better than Binance, right? They're incredibly shady, incredibly corrupt, and I don't trust either exchange, right? I have no dog in this fight. I'm not telling you Binance is better or Coinbase is better. I actually trust Coinbase a little bit more, but again, Coinbase has been off the rails ever since Trump got elected, because there's really no SEC now to stop them. They can do whatever they want. They can introduce raved out and rug pull you. And before, when they started, they were more afraid of the SEC, but today they have no fear. They say that the primary you know uh, contention between them is listing war and fees. You know, but Binance has been criticized for listing higher volumes, smaller meme coins. taking bribes. I mean, Coinbase has no way to prove it, and Coinbase is probably right. There's been very passive aggressive attacks between the two exchanges, right? There's been a lot of FUD and media accusations. This is one thing that Binance suggested that Coinbase most likely leaked it, but it could have been a bunch of different sources. I think Coinbase most likely leaked it because Coinbase will try to attack Binance any way they know how, right? And Coinbase really prides themselves on compliance first. That's BS, right? Coinbase has no level of compliance. Their listing criteria only has one thing, and that's can this shitcoin make them money? That's the only thing they care about. That's shown with ICP, which has rugged their customers over 99%, right? ICP was launched on Coinbase at $640, and today it's $2 and some change, right? So Coinbase does not care about compliance. They'll do whatever they want to do if they can get away with it, right? They have no ethical, backbone, right? I think that the biggest reason why Coinbase is so threatened by Binance is because they know that Binance has the support of state-sponsored money. They have sovereign money, Chinese government backing them, which they can't compete with that because the United States government isn't backing Coinbase with money, right? Imagine if the American government gave Coinbase $1 trillion or something, then Binance would be afraid of Coinbase, right? But that's not going to happen. It's similar to the PGA versus Live Golf, right? The PGA first wanted to fight Live Golf, and punish any golfers who decided to join Live Golf and took that oil money, and then they decided to become friends with them. We're not going to compete against $1 trillion sovereign entity. What we will do is we will just cooperate with them and try to have the most, successful golf association between. Even though, I mean, I don't know why the Middle East cares so much about golf. I have my reasons and my suspicions, but I don't think it's very PC, so I won't mention them. But it's Coinbase first. Binance is very similar to PGA versus Live Golf, has the Saudi Arabia fund backing them, right? Um, and so I find this passive aggressive attack, this constant beef. I mean, it's very entertaining, right? I mean, forget Jersey Shore or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I mean, keeping up with the CEX, the crypto, the centralized exchanges, right? Coinbase and Binance are the two largest centralized exchanges in the world, and their beef continues, right? And you have to pay lots of attention to it because it really does have a huge factor on the crypto market. It has a tremendous factor, and if Coinbase and Binance ever join partnership, have a strong partnership, Coinbase listed Binance, but I think that will be the end of crypto for retail investors. Like there will be no reason to continue investing in cryptocurrency because then you will stand no chance. Right now, Coinbase and Binance are the only two. There's other exchanges, right? There's Kraken, there's OKEx, there's you can see Upbit, Bybit, and some of the others. And most of these are not like um, in the United States. Like people think that Crypto.com is in the United States. That's in Singapore, right? And some of these are in the Virgin Islands. They're all pretty much offshore, right? I think only Coinbase is the only one that's in the United States right now. I mean, you can always read like where they're. Um, this one was found in China, so um, but yeah, it's really hard to find an American based crypto exchange. But I think it's definitely something that we all need to pay attention to. I just find it entertaining, but I find it super petty. That these multi-billion-dollar exchanges continue to have this very heated, unfriendly relationship. But I think it's definitely a good thing, regardless of what you believe. And it's very easy to draw the narrative that if Binance, Coinbase, ever join forces, that will be a great thing for crypto. It won't. We've seen that with Coinbase and a much smaller CEX in Crypto.com that was really bad for crypto, and it would be just horrendous if Binance joined forces with Coinbase.